Right, so I've turned off the Absolute 80s radio feed there. Okay, so for those of you who are watching, I'm just doing a quick test. What I'm going to do now is, you can probably see the scope trace changing there. I've just hooked up a 64 board, or I will just hook up a 64 board. Put this in. Not sure if you can see the screen at the back there, so look, see if it lights up. You're a little bit behind me. There we go, so you can see you've got the screen, the Commodore screen at the back there, which is great. So I'm just going to check to see if you can see the scope trace properly. Cool, that looks pretty good. So you can see the what I'm showing you there is just pin 2 on the RAM, which is the data coming out of each of the RAMs. So I'm really just testing this. You can see that's what it happens when it powers up. You can see what the 64 is up to there whilst it's doing it. So we turn it on. The 64 is on. It clears the system, clears the RAM down when it starts up. You'll be able to see that there. So you can see the data that's being read and written to the 64 as it turns on. Comes out reset. Dink, there you go. So now it's just constantly writing data backwards and forwards to the RAM. And there we are. Just a really quick test to see if you guys can see everything and hear everything without the music in the background, because I'm going to be showing this off. I'll do this a bit later when we repair the 264s. Okay, there's the meter. Just test that so that we can. We need to stick that down, I think. Okay, not sure if you can see the voltage reading there or not. So 4.987, that's pretty good. I'll just stick that down. We have to find some blue tack holes, we're going to be in trouble there, aren't we? So, okay, fabulous, thank you very much. Just a quick test. Epic. Okay. hate these labels. They are a nightmare to get off if they've been on there for so long. I suppose I should do something interesting really, shouldn't I? Instead of scraping labels off. It's a bit boring. Ugh. Right, let me see if I can find something interesting to do. Hang on. Just looking for a... Okay. And this one tells me 6510's had it. It says it's got no tape, so I'm going to plug this board in and we'll have a look, see where we are with it. Get a picture out of it. Brilliant, okay, so it says no tape. I'm just going to grab a tape deck. Thank you for watching, by the way. I know there's 6 of you at the moment, but it's only a test. Okay, so got no tape at all, nothing. Okay. So we'll have a quick look with the scope to find out. I need to remind myself how the tape thing goes. Oh, there should be a sense thing, that sense line that goes up and down. I'll have a look, hang on. Because I can't remember the 64 schematics off the top of my head. 6426, I think that one will do. Okay. So those are 1541, they're good. Right. So we've got a 64 with no the tape drive's not working. And the tape is controlled by the CPU. So I know you're not going to be able to see this very well, however, the tape is actually made to go. You've got 3 pins on the 6510, which control the, you've got cassette read, cassette write and cassette sense. So when the cassette sense kicks in, the motor should turn on. So I'll have a look and see if the sense is doing anything, see if it's going up and down when it's being pressed, or it could just be a power issue. Okay. So you might be able to see that it's powered up. Okay, you may be able to see in the corner that it's the 64 is powered up. So pin 6. There's definitely something going on there. So what does pin 6 do? Okay, cassette motor, cassette set. That's interesting. So I've just messed around scoping stuff here. It's all a bit strange, to be fair. It's not very often you see them not working at all like that. So B2 should be, it says plus 5 volts, which is what we've got there. C3 is the cassette motor. R4. Let's have a look, where's R4? Ew. Okay. Okay. Can't see what pin that comes off of. Cassette motor, sense, cassette motor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 28. Ooh, 7. That. Look at the bottom of this board. Yeah, so straight through plates. Let's have a look, see if it's pings out. It's a nightmare opening yourself up to the world like this when people think I'm crackers, talking to myself. So cassette motor, cassette read, cassette write, F6, which would be that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, that is cassette set 25. 25 is cassette sense. So, let's see if it's actually doing anything. 25 is cassette sense. So when we push the tape, when I push the play button down on the tape drive, that should line 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That should, the state of that should change. So you can see it's constantly high there. So I'm pushing the button down and nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. I definitely know it's not the tape drive because the tape's absolutely fine. So let me grab another board that works and we'll see what that board does. Okay, so here we've got a C64C board. We're going to give that a spin, see what happens. Put the tape in there. Just ping out. Set sense F6. Which pin does that go to? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a different board. 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what the cassette sense does on this one. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so you can see it's actually going low. When I'm pressing the play button on the tape deck, you can actually see that the signal's going low on the bottom there, which is quite cool. So that other board, there's something not quite right there. So why isn't the cassette sense going low? Okay, well I reckon what we'll do is we'll give changing the CPU over a spin. Well, physically there's nothing wrong with that, so let's give. I'm just going to swap out the processor, and we'll see what happens. Seeing as that's in direct control, so turn my iron on. So there's 8 of you watching. 8 of you watching. Just drop me a message on Facebook. Let me know where you're all from. Not Facebook. Not Facebook. You can live message me on YouTube. I can see it all popping up there. So just let me know where you're from. So we're just gonna pop this processor out. I have my iron. I also have my trusty sucker. As I've said before with these, it's always a good idea to is be able to find your solder, which I've got here. And this one doesn't look too bad. This will be fairly straightforward. Looks like I've already done some work there on the PLA. So I'm just going to tin these contacts. This sort of helps flow up the old solder, and when it comes to sucking them out, it makes life a bit easier if it's actually been sort of shifted out, which you can see I'm going to do here. Now I've got one of the automated solder suckers, the automated one, which you might not be able to see. It's just off here. But I just don't seem to be able to get on with it. I just prefer this old method of doing it. But you can see how the holes are nice and clear there. They flow away fairly clearly. So this one hopefully should pop out nicely. Only thing is, it's really sore on your thumbs. This iron I use fairly hot. I have my irons. It's a temperature one. I have it set to sort of 400 degrees. It makes the solder melt fairly quickly, and the less time I have to spend, or the less time it sort of spends arguing with these boards, the better. This is the ground line. That's normally a little bit thicker. Tokyo, blimey. Somebody's watching in Tokyo, that's amazing. USA, Illinois, hi everybody, that's incredible, fantastic, greetings to you all. Illinois, USA, that's brilliant. This is the first time I've ever done anything live, to be honest, so I'm on telly from sunny Hampshire in the UK. The other thing is, if these get blocked, it's a real pain. So hopefully, as I said, the 6510 controls the tape, and it's just not being allowed to drop low. Considering it's just a switch, it's a bit weird. There's 6.5 inside the C2N. It's just like a little switch which says go, and it's not being driven low. So. There we go. Right, this is the all-important bit as well. It's always important to, once you've done this, to give these pins a good wiggle. So I just use a pair of snide-nosed pliers, just wiggle the pins to make sure that they're all coming out. There's nothing too nasty in there. That looks like it might even just fall out by itself, to be honest. Won't require a lot of force to get that bad boy out. Just make sure I'm not taking any tracks with me, which is always good news. Doesn't appear to be. Okay, there we go. Not too difficult. Haven't broken anything. Haven't taken any tracks with me. Move it out of the way. I used a little bit of this to give the board a clean off when I finished, when I desoldered it. And a toothbrush. And the fruit plate has gone there. On the top, that's just that number one little fruit plate has gone there. Right, grab myself. Socket. These are fairly standard cheap 40-pin sockets which you can get from most electronics places. Apologies for the 80s music, that's where I'm stuck, I'm afraid. Oh, we're into double figures. 10 people, lovely. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see you all, or know you're all out there somewhere. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I've just ensured that that socket's pushed in. And I've just tinned the first one to make sure that the legs, as I go through and do the rest, it doesn't come out. Not saying that this will fix it, but all the connections and everything seem to be in place. And just dragging the, as I said, it's not dragging the 5-volt line down when the cassette kicks in. So I'm going to solder these up. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to get it so that you can buzz over the pins like that. It's always best if you're starting out to just solder them one at a time. Make sure you get a nice contact and there's enough solder in the through plates. But these boards are fairly easy to work on, although very fragile. Some of the Commodore boards are better than the others because, I don't know why actually, some of them are awful. They're really, really difficult to work on, and if you're not careful with them, the plates just come out and the through plates come through when you take the chip out, so it's a nightmare. Okay, just give it a little bit of a clean off. Right, okay, so as I'm sure you all know, Commodore chips are obviously not made anymore, difficult to come by. However, I seem to have managed to assemble myself one or two here, and a little pink spot on these means that I've tested it and it works okay. They're not ripped from any boards, unless I never do scalping, unless the board is actually beyond, completely beyond economical repair, it's rotted, and then obviously it can become a donor board. What I was doing there was just bending the pin so it will sit in the socket nicely. Still just going to bend them in again like that, just so they're not quite so springy outy, because the last thing you want is a bent pin. And just give a little bit of persuasion and then it sits. So I'll try it again. First of all, make sure you actually get a picture. I don't know if you can see it, you may have been able to see the Commodore thing pop up there. Don't know if you can see that, but it's more the scope stuff I was interested in, to be fair. So let's have a look. Turn that off. When you're connecting any peripherals to the 64, it was made to a budget, so there's no buffers anywhere. So what happens is, if you're not careful, you pull things out of the user port without turning it on and off. The user port goes direct onto the 6522s, and the cassette port goes direct onto the some of the I/O pins of the 6510. So if you don't turn it off, there is a possibility that you can pop these, and as they're in short supply, it's always a good idea to make sure you turn stuff off. Just reading some of your comments. Flip-flop, watching from London, hoping to learn and then be brave enough to repair your 240 brethrens. Dive in, my friend, dive in. Right, so we'll have a look at 25. As I said, not going to guarantee this works. If it doesn't, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We'll see if it's flipping. Okay, so we know it's not the CPU. I've still got nothing, which is very, very strange. So why isn't that picking up the cassette sets then? Yes, it was easy, but it hasn't fixed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's coming straight up. But it isn't being, it's not going low. That's really weird. It's not short there or anything, is there? Let's make sure it's not tied high by anything. I'm just going to make sure it's so there's no short. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so that's that. It's definitely, I'm sure it just goes to ground. I'm just going to have a look at the, what's the ground on the cassette? A1. I'm sure it just decks it, I'm sure it does. Right, so what I've done is between pin 1 there and pin 6, there's now a short with the play button pushed down. If I stop it, it goes off. So you can see literally that pin 6, literally just dropped down to deck, but it's not. It's being held high, and I have no idea why. It's not shorted to 21, 22, 23, 25. Maybe the tape deck's not getting the ground. It could be that simple, couldn't it? It could just be that the tape drive's not getting the ground. That could be it. So what I'll do is, let's get one of these, and I'm going to put some of this on the end of it and just clean the connector up. It could well be, there's me diving in and changing the process, and it could well just be as simple as the connector's crap. And this is another reason why, because it's not always, you know, I've pulled the processor out, and as an engineer you sort of dive into these things thinking it's the most complicated stuff, but I've socketed the processor so I can put the old one obviously back in, and it prevents any further damage later on. So there's pin 6, that goes through to ground there. We'll just make sure that he's actually got good contact on there. Okay, it's got continuity there to ground. Contact there as well. So theoretically, when I do this, I should get a short between the two, but I'm not. Why am I not getting a short? Oh, it's that. It's literally as simple as that. There we go. So it's not the processor like I thought it was. It was actually just a crap connection. So any ideas? Anybody out there can tell me. There's a little brush that you use. I think it's a carbon brush or something that you use, which actually will scrub some of the rubbish off of these connectors. I'm just going to try a different toothbrush. Scrub. Cool. Right, so I'm going to stick the original processor back in. Oh, this board's missing a SID. That's no good. Okay, so there's my processor. That's the original processor. Blimey, half an hour I've been on it. Okay, tape drives over here. Oh! Right, we now have a moving tape drive. Right, plug that in. I'll switch this over to tape. There we go. I need my keyboard. Scotch-Brite, is that what you need? Fiberglass, thanks fellas. Doug, thank you. Trojan, Roy, thank you very much. Scotch-Brite, fiberglass, okay. So it's a little fiberglass pencils you use, okay. I'm assuming they're going to be available from RS or something like that, so I'll have a little look out for those. So I'm just going to plug my keyboard in. I've got an Arkanoid test tape here, but look. Hooray! So there was me thinking it was a CPU, and it wasn't, it was just a dirty connector. So just dive it in again like a complete idiot as I normally do. I'm just going to spin this back and make sure it loads. So this, where it says Arkanoid ref tape, I bought off eBay. You can still get them in the UK anyway. Some new old stock 64 recorders or C2N tape decks, and I used them because I knew they'd been aligned in the factory. I just used those to make a couple of reference tapes, and you just use those to align all of your other C2Ns to. So I've just aligned this. The next video I'm doing is, which I've nearly finished, is about aligning and cleaning and aligning tape decks, and that shows you how to do that using the Scopy here. But let's, I've already done that. I'll turn this up. I'm still got, there's no signal anyway. Duh. So cassette sensor's working. Hopefully it'll be able to control the thing in a minute when it gets to the first bit. Cheers Dave Blake, pencil eraser, thank you. I'll try that. Does that do the same thing as well? There we go, found Arkanoid. Right, okay, I know what I am going to do. I'm going to whack a SID in this, because it doesn't have a SID in it at the moment. Poor little thing. And as I'm sure you all know, these are unbelievably hard to come by. Okay, so I'll bung the SID in there. Ooh. I'm issuing a poke command there which turns the SID on. You may or may not be able to. Hello Burton, Ontario. Hi Doug, Ontario in Canada, welcome, thanks for watching. There you go, that seems to be running nicely now. You may or may not be able to hear the tape loading. If I shut up you might be able to hear it. Very quiet. Turn that down because the music should kick off in a minute. Don't know if you can see that screen in the background. Hang on, I'm just going to try something. Hello Moss, in the SETI in Durham. And there's the dog. Right, I'm going to have to take a break there. Thank you very much for the 11 or 12 of you that popped in whilst I was doing that. As I said, I've got 2 dead bread bins which I'm going to be looking at. I may do this evening or later in the week. I'll stick a notes up on Facebook. This will be about. I'll leave this on YouTube as well, so if you want to have a quick look at that. how things can be a lot different to what they see, and that was literally just a dirty connector, and there was me thinking the processor was duff. So yeah, thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed it. Any comments, anything you've got, anything you need, or anything that would look better, by all means just throw a comment up on the page, and I'll see what we can do. But thank you very much for all of you who tuned in.